negros y indios nativos somos los verdaderos israelitas.
¿Esto dónde lo dice, según el versículo?
Esto dice en la Biblia. Está escrita en la Reina Valera.
We got to live in this district. The whiteys don't come down here, man, and live in the fucked up houses, man. The whiteys don't come down here, man, and have all the fucked up fucking no heat in the fucking winter time. You understand? We do, Jack. So therefore, like, wow, we got to make it a better place. You understand that?
Like they want to make it a racial problem, you know? So we didn't want that, you know? So I jumped in, I put in for my boy because he's a black brother. You know? So we made an unracial problem. We the Puerto Ricans should rise up and defend ourselves against these dogs. The North American is trying to steal our identity as Puerto Ricans and call us Americans. We Puerto Ricans are Puerto Ricans till the day we are born until the day we die.
Chicanos killing Chicanos is what they want. Blacks and Chicanos killing each other is what they want. That's how they run this place. Once we get together, they don't run shit.
And hungry and ambitious, the new country was also drastically changing its policies towards the Indian nations. And nowhere By the early 19th century, the U.S. was rapidly growing, both in size and power. Land-hungry and ambitious, the new country was also drastically changing its policies towards the Indian nations. And nowhere was this more evident than in the treaties.
The United States' primary interest in treaty making was to acquire Indian land. And so the treaties were used for that purpose, especially as the United States found itself in a position to pretty much dictate the terms of the treaty. And so the treaties morphed from this friendship and reciprocity sort of relationship into a very one-sided thing.
There's almost a mythology about this, that somehow when the Pilgrims arrived, they were dragging land behind them. There was no land brought here. The land here was Native nations. And this is what the United States needed. It's what it wanted. They wanted all of it. They wanted everything.
The greed came in. Well, we have a little tract here now we need a little more. And, well, we need to go make another treaty. We didn't understand that eventually those treaty-making processes ended up to the acquisition of all of our ancestral homeland. That land was a part of us. That land helped us be. That land was who we were and who we are.
The command of removal came unexpectedly upon most of us. There was a time that we noticed several overloaded wagons were passing our home, yet we did not grasp the meaning. Then one day, wagons stopped. We were to be taken away and leave our homes, never to return.
To get what they wanted, U.S. officials brokered treaties through any means available. Their tactics were so corrupt that the once trusted treaties became quickly known as bad paper.
There were people at these treaty negotiations who would do anything to get an agreement on the table. And so there was very routinely bribery, individual payments made to tribal leaders. Alcohol would be used to put people in an agreeable frame of mind, and even coercion to say to people, you must sign this agreement or else.
Every means of trickery and fraud was employed against Native nations. The United States would appoint a false leadership, people who had no right to speak for the tribe, and say, you're the leader of this tribe, sign this paper giving away all your land.
As the century progressed, the treaties became more and more lopsided, a far cry from the parallel paths of the Goswenta. Despite appeals from the Indian nations, the U.S. kept on its new trajectory, rationalizing its aggressive actions along the way.
They have neither the intelligence, the industry, the moral habits, nor the desire of improvement. The tribes of Indians inhabiting this country were fierce savages. To leave them in possession of their country was to leave the country a wilderness.
It's important in the great American mythology to describe the Americas as wilderness, because if it's wilderness, then there's really nobody to dispossess. It was okay to come here and prosper and conveniently forget that there were already people and civilizations in place.
At first we had something to eat, but that gave out and we were starving. We came to a slippery elm tree and ate the bark of that. Lots took sick and died.
As Americans successfully pushed the bounds of the frontier, they not only believed that they were destined to take over the land and prosper, they believed that God was the one who put them there to do it.
They believed that it was God's will, that the United States should be a continental nation, stretching from the Atlantic to the Pacific. As each wave of immigration would come, they'd move into an area. The United States would then make some sort of arrangement with the tribe to get that land from them. And then more would come, and they'd advance the frontier even further.
The power of manifest destiny, of expansion, of inevitability, of God's providence helped to rally people around not only the idea of Americans as entitled to North America, but rallied them around the idea that Indian people were barriers to civilization and barriers to progress.
No matter how many treaties were signed or how much land they gave to the United States, the Indian was still in the way. This was known as the Indian problem. This so-called problem continued despite a decades-old policy to force Indians to swap their land east of the Mississippi for land west of it. The Indians would then move to those western parts and away from the Americans. This plan was simply called removal.
The Removal Act was the centerpiece of Andrew Jackson's political agenda, and it was very controversial at the time. It was very widely debated. There was lots of discussion across the country, and very many prominent people spoke up against it.
Will the American government steal? Will it lie? Will it kill? I have no desire to see the poor remnants of a once powerful people. The removal bill represents oppression with a vengeance.
The removal process, it was, all right, you've made these treaties. Now, you can have one of two things. You can keep your sovereignty, but you can't keep your land. But if you keep your land, then you have to assimilate and no longer be Indian. You will have sovereignty or you have your land. You can't have both.
Across the United States, the Removal Act divided the country. But across the Indian nations, reaction was unanimous.
We are surrounded by white people, and there are encroachments made. What assurances have we that similar ones will not be made on us should we remove to the Mississippi? Look here, Father. Our lands belong to us. We shall keep them. We do not wish to talk to you anymore.
We had already been fighting to keep that land. And sure enough, when the government was coming in there to take us out of that land, we fought even more. But at some point, you have to realize that this fighting is all going to be about death. And death is coming. Then I need to be protecting my family, and I want my children to survive. So we have to endure this removal.
Many of the tribes did choose to accept removal as a means of maintaining the tribal nation. What choice was there? After decades of engagement, they could no longer resist. And so they gave up their lands, they gave up their homes, they gave up their fields and forests, they gave up literally their way of life in order to be able to stay together and be what they were.
We are poor, but we are free. No white man controls our footsteps.
Some try to assimilate to avoid removal. Some were removed completely. But in the end, every nation met the same fate. Every nation had to give up land.
Brothers, you cannot remain where you are now. You have but one remedy within your reach, and that is to remove to the west. May the Great Spirit teach you how to choose.
The loss of land was devastating, and so was the loss of lives. The most famous of these incidents was the Cherokee Nation's Trail of Tears, but there were numerous other trails just as violent and just as crushing.
Everyone had to walk. My baby brother Joel was 4 years old. I was just 8, but I took my turn at carrying him because he could not walk much. I would get so tired I'd think I was going to die, but I would hang on to him. I was so afraid they would kill him. I saw them kill babies who were too big to be carried and would give out.
That really was a road of death. People were falling on the side of the road or being shot or being murdered on the road and being left there. The removal process was done in a way that was not efficient in making people survive.
Of the millions of Indian people that lived before the first colonists arrived, by the end of the 19th century, only 250,000 remained.
The removal of a tribe was certain to destroy all of the things they knew about taking care of themselves, all of their medicines, all of their foods. Everything about them had to change in order to survive. It can only be understood as an act of destruction.
When you move a people from one place to another, when you displace people, when you wrench people from their homelands, wasn't that genocide? We don't make the case that there was genocide. We know there was, yet here we are.
When we were forced to leave our land, we took the fires with us. We took the embers along. Then when we got to Oklahoma, we rekindled the old fire. Old home or new home, it is the same fire.
All right, hey, shalom, y'all. Bashim Shabbat. The water for tuning in. This is the Inconvenient Truth. As always, every Wednesday, we're bringing that. Come on now. Oh, there we go. Now we got you.
The background is really good.
I just fixed it. You got it now? Did you come in? Let me see. You there? Okay, there you go. Got you.
Hey, Salam.
One second, trying to figure this out.
Good, huh? Okay, there we go. Now we're good. It's too late.
I thought I had it muted. I didn't.
Give it 1 second.
It's muted now. Might be muted.
1 second. Bear with us for a second. We're trying to figure this out. Did that cut it out?
Mic check. Here we go. Let's try.
Again.
Still.
I just muted mine.
All right, Salaki, everybody. We're trying to figure this out. Why are we getting this bad echo? Man. Can you still hear me? So you turn off your mic there?
Nah, my mic is on mute right now.
How about your mic to your computer? Give us 1 second. Salaki, everyone. Is that the computer mic?
That's the volume.
No, try turning off your computer to your mic. Okay, there it is. Still getting that, man. I'm saying, okay, now, we're still having some technical difficulties here. We're trying to figure it out. Give us 1 second. Speaker. Okay, once again, check. Again. Right again. Still. Hey, for the brothers out there listening, let us know if you can hear the echo. Can you still hear an echo on this? Let me know. Let me know if you can hear this. Malakma, what's going on? Yashikar Ban Yashikar. Shara Rana. Salam sis. Trying to figure out what's going on with this echo on our mic. We're trying to get this show started, so give us 1 second. Bear with us. All right, well, we're going to have to go with it.
Earbuds again. Yeah. Yakawayala. I'm trying to get this thing right.
You want me to leave sir, to see what it is?
I don't know if that's gonna. I could actually take you out here. Let me see. Trying to figure it out. You're on mic. Your mute on your mic on mute. Yeah, I can see it. It's on mute. But we still got this echo. Man. Okay, give us 1 second to lock everyone. We're trying to get this thing going, but I don't know if y'all can hear the echo on this. If you can, let me know. Can you hear this echo? It's bad too, huh? Give us 1 second. We're trying to figure this out. Now can you hear me? Man, what is that? What is that sound? Oh, it's really bad, huh? Let me see. Log off yours. Let's see what happens if I log you off. Let's see. Can you hear me now? Let's see what we can get. Let's see where we're at here with this. Hey, Salakia, everybody. We're having a little technical difficulty here. Technical difficulties trying to get this thing going. Trying to see what we can do about it. Give us 1 second. Bear with us. The water, everyone. Once again, Salakia. But we're... Here we go. Check. Now can you hear me? Still not. Try it again. Here we go. Check. Is it still echoing? No, huh? All right, well, we're going to go with that, man. We can't stay too long on it, so let's move forward. You want to come over here? We'll do that instead, because obviously we're not getting nowhere with this, and we got to get this show on the road. So let's get it on the road, man. Let's move forward. We just watched this video about the Native American Indians. If you were here at the beginning, you were able to check out our video at the beginning about the Native American Indians. The title of our show today is, abandoning God brought us nothing but death. And that's a true statement for Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. Because obviously when we abandon the Most High, all that got us was nothing but death. You know what I mean? We've been able to not get anywhere, any place. Our nation has been destroyed. Our people have been destroyed. Everything we work for seems to be in vain, because we get nowhere with what we do, being Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. When we look at our counterparts, which is the European people, they seem to be getting further than we do, and in less time than we have. Hispanics have been here since the beginning. We have been the indigenous people of this land. The Native American Indians have been the indigenous people of this land, and as we can see, where our people are, is because the reality is we abandoned the Most High. And since we abandoned the Most High, well, this is the price we pay. You know what I mean? And the way it works is that, we thought God had abandoned us, in in our worst moments, even today in our worst moments, when you start seeing yourself, at the bottom, right? When I say at the bottom, I mean you're going through a lot. You might have lost your house, you lost a family member, you lost your job, your car got wrecked, they repoed your car. Everything seems to be going wrong for you. You know what I mean? It seems like everything is going the wrong way, and your thought is, man, for sure God's abandoned me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what comes to mind. What comes to mind is that, man, we've been abandoned. We've been left. Why would I go through so much? Who would make me go through so much? If God is so great, why am I going through so much? And we're selfish because we think about material things when we think about the abandonment, or how we feel about the way a life is being treated to us, or how the card has been dealt to us. That's what I'm going to call it. How the card has been dealt to us. But let's go back to a time where what's really happened in the real sense is our Native American Indian brothers, or our Hispanic brothers and sisters, or our Black brothers and sisters who came here in slavery. Imagine what they must have thought when they were rounded up out in West Africa and taken from their families and separated and thrown onto a ship, right? And brought as slaves to America. Imagine the feeling that they got when they're riding inside of this boat, right? Naked, butt naked, laying side by side in chains, women defecating, men defecating, women on their period, you know what I'm saying? Children dying, men dying of hunger, starvation. Imagine the feeling they must have had when they're coming across the ocean. Where is their God at that moment? Where is the God that protected them there? What happened to him? How about our Native American Indian brothers? When the European came and, just like we saw on this video, we're starting to take their land and making them walk, right? Pushing them away, right, from their land and making them go to the west, because they were taking all of the East Coast, and they were in the way of property that the European wanted. You know what I mean? And in that sense, they begin to die off, like that lady said. There was men and children and women dying on the side of the road, and they were being left there as they walked away. That one lady said, she carried her little brother as much as she could. You know what I mean? Because her family was pushed off of their land, pushed off of their native land. So imagine, man, your children, your family is dying, is being killed off their reservation, off their land, and put into reservations. Where is their God? Where is the God that they so much confide on, or love, or how could I say, followed? How about the Mexican, the indigenous people, the people of the land of Anahuac? How about our Anahuac brothers, our brothers from Mexico, Central America, the Yucatan Peninsula? How about what happened to them when the Europeans got there and did the same thing to them? How about when they were given, the chicken pox and their families started to, die off? Or Cortez coming with their conquistadores and slicing up the children with their swords, you know what I mean, and killing them. Then they're thinking, where's their God? Where's Tlaloc at that moment? Tlaloc is the god of the Aztecs, of rain and thunder and all this. Where was that God? Where was his God that they worshipped, that they sacrificed for, that they did so much for? Where was that God at? Where was Tlaloc in that time? When their land was taken, when their language was taken, when their heritage and their culture, do you think they not felt abandoned also? Do you think they didn't think, wow, where's our God now? What happened? Right. What did we do to deserve our God abandoning us? Right. A lot of indigenous people believe that their God abandoned them. Black people believe that their God, definitely, man, our God had to have abandoned us. For us to go through this, man, we had to have been abandoned by God. God no longer cares about us, right, because we're being put in a situation where we're dying, not a couple of hundred, but by the thousands, right, daily. You know what I'm saying? And let's go right now to our time. Right now, Hispanics and Blacks and Native American Indians and everybody at comes this disease, that came upon everybody a year or two ago, right? And all of a sudden, people are dying by the masses.
Right.
You know what I mean? And what is people thinking? Man, where is God? God's abandoned us. God's no longer with us. We got this COVID wiping our people out, wiping everybody out. And everybody's thinking, man, for sure, God has abandoned us. Well, let me tell you something. The problem is that God didn't abandon us. We abandoned God.
Right.
We're the ones who took the steps in walking away from a God that showed love to us.
Right.
We're the ones who decided to separate from a God who says that he is a God of love for his people.
Right.
That he is a God who takes care of his people.
Right.
Actually, he had a promise that he had made to us. The book of Deuteronomy, what is that?
Deuteronomy 28 and 1. So
Right.
28 and
we are a special people above all people. So we're the ones who abandoned God, because let me tell you something. God had made a promise to us, his people. And if you caught my show last night, Hispanic people know this. Hispanic people know this. It's called, when you go to the Christian church, the Adventist, the Baptist, the Seventh-day Adventist, the Catholic Church, all the Christian churches, they tend to tell you that, and I'm going to use this word in Spanish, they say that the church es el pueblo de Dios. Isn't that what they say? The church claims to be el pueblo de Dios, God's chosen people. The Christian churches and Catholic Church think that particular church that they have, well, that's where God's chosen people are at. That's what they think. They think this is God's chosen people. This church is actually the location of where God's chosen people are at. But we know that that's not true, because un pueblo is a people. That's what a pueblo is. A pueblo is a people, a culture, a group of people, not people who come, you got Germans in there, you got Asians in there, you got Africans in there, you got all these different races or these different peoples inside of this church. But yet God, his pueblo, his people are a certain people.
Right.
His people are not everybody. When God chose his people, there was Africans on this earth. When God chose his people, there was Asians on this earth. When God chose his chosen people, there was Caucasians on this earth. There was Babylonians, there was Assyrians, there was Egyptians. There was multiple races on the face of this earth when God chose his people. Translated into Spanish, su pueblo, su gente. So there is a certain pueblo, a certain people that God has chosen. And he made a promise. There is a bond between God's certain chosen people and God himself. And with that, there is a contract that has been made between these people and the Almighty God, the creator of everything, the God of Israel. And that's why he says he's the God of Israel. Actually, the Bible calls him the God of Israel. Not the God of Egypt, or the God of the Caucasian, or the God of the African, but the God of Israel. That's the title that it carries. So go ahead, Akor.
So this is from the Zondervan Pictorial Bible Dictionary. Definition of congregation. To show that congregation means a group of Israelites, not a German, not a whatever.
Right.
Page 116, congregation. The Hebrew people viewed in their collective capacity as God's people or as an assembly of the people summoned for a definite purpose.
So it's summoned for a definite purpose. In other words, God bring these people he summoned his people together. Well, actually, when God chose his people, it was before Moses. They had already been chosen, way before Moses. Actually, it was in the time of Jacob. Actually, he chose this man, Jacob, to start his people. So God came along and he said, you know what, this man, Jacob, he's about to start my people.
Right.
He's going to start my pueblo, el
Right.
pueblo de Dios. Is going to be of a certain lineage, of a certain people.
Right.
The problem with the Christian church is that they're trying to tell you something that is not true.
Right.
But that is when you start to realize that you, Hispanic, Black man, Native American Indian man, you've abandoned your God. You've abandoned your God, and that's why all those things that you've gone through, that's why you're going through them. Because you abandoned God. Because you chose to turn away from God.
Right.
Now you're where's our God now? And you know what the native Indian says, the Hispanic, the Aztec, the Mexica, the Toltec, all these people, the Mayans, God has abandoned you. God has turned away from us. You promised to come back. You said you were going to come back. But now look at my people. My people are dying.
Right.
They're dying in the trenches. They're dying in this world. They're dying of hunger. They're dying of poverty. They're dying in a country that's not even theirs.
Right.
They're dying in a land of unknown.
Right.
Your land is dying. Our land has died. Our animals have died. The sea is dying. Our air has become contaminated. The earth that we love so much has become desolate and dry of goodness.
Right.
It is now a place of war, of hate, of material things. And we did not live as material people.
Right.
Let me tell you, the Aztecs, gold had no meaning to them. For the indigenous people of Mexico, gold had no meaning. We didn't use gold as a type of financial security. We use gold as decoration for our clothes, for decoration on our pottery, for decoration on our homes. It had no meaning. Meaning for us was the cocoa seed, because it was edible. It was worth something. I could plant it and it would grow. It would become something. It would become a life form. We valued life more than we valued more than we valued material things. Go ahead.
If I may add to that, with the book of Revelation 21 and 21, it says, and the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was a one pearl. And the street of the city was pure gold, meaning the kingdom of heaven, Jerusalem, our city that we're going to be in when Christ comes back, the streets are going to be gold.
Imagine that.
That's how much, like you were saying, sir, that's how much wealth we're going to have. Gold is nothing. Gold is going to be our sidewalk.
Exactly.
You understand? It's going to be so glorious.
It's like today, if you wanted to go and break up the pavement and try to sell pavement,
right?
Try to sell some cement. You know, you see cement on the floor, and to you, it's like it's just a floor. It's meaningless. And that's the way gold is in heaven. Gold is meaningless. You're going to step all over it as if it has no value at all.
Right.
What is valuable in heaven is we're valuable in heaven.
Right.
We as a people have more value. We outweigh anything. Our spirit, our soul outweighs anything that the European had as a type of monetary something. Go ahead.
If I may, sir, and you could bring it to today. Today, the European, right, or as they name themselves, the white people, because that's what they name themselves, white people. They do it today. Our brothers who are in the music industry, which is ran by the so-called Jewish people, Jewish white man, are people with money. They have money. They have billions of dollars, but they still depressed. Look at the brother passed away, and it's very sad for him and his family. But look at DMX. He had tons of money. There's people with tons of money who have houses, who are rich, and they're still sad. They're still doing drugs. You understand? And that's what you're saying, sir. You know what I mean? Like money doesn't mean anything. Riches in the kingdom of heaven, the streets paved in gold isn't what's gonna give us authority. That's not what makes us righteous. What makes us righteous is, you understand, our morals, our conduct. You know, the fact that we serve Christ in the kingdom of heaven, the fact that we have righteous judgment. You understand? So it still goes on today. Or people think that money and materialistic things is gain, but that's not gain. Gain is serving the Most High. You understand? Having the Most High God on your side and having His power in your benefit, that's real gain. That's how you're really gonna make a difference, not through having tons of money. Tons of money only goes so far. It's not gonna get you out of oppression though.
Absolutely. You know, even though you have money, you still oppressed.
Right.
You know, it's called ghetto riches. That's what we call them, ghetto riches. Because no matter how much money you accumulate, you're still seen as the same person. You still ghetto. You still black. You still Mexican. You still Native American Indian. Yeah. No matter how much money you got, and that in America, it means a lot. You know, I just seen this video of I guess she's a track runner, and her husband is he's a famous player in Brazil or something.
Right. And
they're out in England, and the police come up and they're driving a Mercedes, and the police come and drag them out of their car, and they have their children in the car, their daughters, and the police don't care. All they know is that you're black and you're driving a Mercedes Benz and you're black in England. And that was enough for them to see them and take them out and, you know, search them completely. Go ahead.
Counselor, if I may, her name is British Sprinter. Bianca Williams recorded London police pulling her and her partner out of their car for alleged suspicious driving. The police wanted to search for weapons and drugs, but found neither.
And the suspicious driving is, you're a black woman,
right,
and you're a black man,
right,
and you look suspicious driving a Mercedes Benz.
Right.
And then we wonder, right? Well, you know, God abandoned. She's probably wondering, as soon as she's driving and they see the police pull the lights up on them, you know they're praying to God. You know that the first thing that comes to their mind is, oh, God, please don't let them pull me over. You know, as a black man, a black woman, a Hispanic man, a Native American Indian man, when we see lights in the back of our car, we already know what's coming. Like, it's given that we're going to be pulled over, and it's given that we're going to get put to shame because of the color of our skin or because of who we are. Right. You know what I'm saying? So if you can have, this woman, Bianca Williams, she has all the riches that anybody wants. She has all the things that a regular black man, Hispanic man, Native American Indian man wish they had. Right. But even with all that she carries, she is still a nigger. Right. You are still a spick. Right. You are still a wetback. You are still a savage to them. Right. Because that has never changed. And we, as soon as we see those lights, we're praying to our God that we know we have, because we know that that's our God, and we realize that God is not with us. Right. God is not there to protect us completely the way we should. Now, she is protected because obviously they let her go, but not before she had to go through everything her and her husband and her daughter had to go through. And why? Because we chose to leave our God and worship the God of our oppressor. Right. We're a special people. We're those that I'm talking about when God said he has his people, his special people, su pueblo. We're God's people. In Spanish, we call it el pueblo de Dios. And the Christian and Catholic Church, they'll tell you real quick, este es el pueblo de Dios. This is God's people right here in this church. But that's a lie. Because in that church, they're not worshiping the real God, the God of Israel, our God. In that church, they're teaching you to worship the God of your oppressor. Right. They're teaching you to worship the Christian God that the Caucasian man bring over when he conquered, robbed, raped, and murdered Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians. And that's the God that you've been worshiping for over 500 years. 600 years for the Hispanic, 500 for the Native American Indian, and almost 400 and something years for the black man. Because that's the God that they bring over. And we're the ones who have been caught up in the worship of a God that is not our God. So who is our God? If this white Jesus is not our God, if this Jesus Christ, right, Yahuwah, or whatever they call him, is not our God, then who is our God? Where is our God? What happened to our God? As our native indigenous people in Mexico say, you abandoned us. You let us go. And now look at us. We're dying. And our land has been destroyed. And my children have died. And you promised to come back. And you haven't. You surely have abandoned me and my native Indian people and my land and my culture. And our God has responded over and over and over again. I have never abandoned you. On the contrary, you've abandoned me. I have always been here. And then he tells you, I have not left. I'm coming back. I'm coming back, and I'm going to bring back what you need. And that's war on these people that have robbed, raped, and murdered and destroyed you. And the problem with us is that it's so far from us that we can't even believe that, because we've been indoctrinated into believing that he is already here, that white Jesus that we see.
Right.
Go ahead.
John, so we precept for you, sir. Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel does not know. My people does not consider.
Man, we don't even consider who our God is.
Right.
You know what we do? We tattoo the white Christ on our bodies. We use that fake God of ours, that God that has usurped our God. He's on our lowriders. He's in our neighborhood. He's on the liquor store at the corner on the side of the wall. He's in my mom's living room. He's on my mom's wall. He's on my t-shirt. He's on my girl's arm. He's around my neck on a cross hanging. That's where he's at every day. And every day I get up to worship him and ask him to help me. Right. The same one who robbed, raped, and murdered me is the one I'm asking for help from. Right. Go ahead.
So this is the book of Isaiah chapter 4 and 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee.
Man, so the Lord has rejected us because we've rejected his knowledge. Right. Because we've rejected him, he's rejected us. Are you wondering why you're single? Are you wondering why your sisters are having abortions? Are you wondering why you can't have a man? Are you ever wondering why your girl keeps cheating on you? Do you wonder why you can't get out of the same rut? You, man, smoking weed. Your son, man, is trying to be a cholo. You're worried about your son going to school because of the way he dresses. And you know at school, man, young kids, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds are committing murder on their own people. Right. Us Mexicans, La Raza, we're killing our own brothers. We're killing our own people. Blacks, you're killing your own brother. You're killing your own people.
Right.
In the video that I showed, the Native American Indian was given liquor in order for him to sign contracts.
Right.
In other words, when he was signing the contract of his land and giving it away, he was completely intoxicated.
Right.
And that's the problem with us. We're completely intoxicated, you know, with what? With the mentality that America has given us. And they didn't even give us that mentality. We gave it to ourselves. And why did we choose that mentality? Because we choose to forget about the real God, our God, the God that the Native American Indian, that Aztec, the Mexica, the Chichimeca, the Tolteca, the Purupeche, the same God that they say abandoned them, well, that's the God that also we've abandoned, even today.
Right.
That's the same God that since we've abandoned them, know that your son is going to get shot.
Right.
Know that your daughter is going to get pregnant and she's not going to have a husband.
Right.
Know that she's going to have 3 different kids with 3 different husbands. Know that your wife is going to cheat on you and you're going to find her with another man. Know that one of your sons is not going to come home. Know that your job is going to fire you because of no reason at all. know that the police is going to pull your ass over, right? And you're going to see you're Mexican or black, and you're going to get incarcerated, and you're going to do time. Know that your uncle is already doing time. Know that when you go visit your uncle at the prison system to put money in his books, all you see is black and Hispanic people in there.
Right.
You know why? Because God has also turned away from us. But not because he's turned, but because we've abandoned him. Now give me that Deuteronomy. But because we've chosen to abandon him. Because we broke a contract. And right now, I'm going to read you that contract that we broke. Go ahead.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
And now when he says hearken, it means pay attention. It means listen. It means follow directions. It means stay on track. It means do as you're told. That's what it means. Go ahead.
To observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
And that is going to happen to us. That's exactly what came upon us. We've been cursed because we chose to turn away from a contract that we had with the Most High.
Right.
From a contract that we made with the Lord at some point. You know, the Mexica people, right? They knew that that even though you died, your spirit traveled. That you weren't just going to heaven or to hell, the way you say, you know. They knew that you would travel and that you would come back. You were going to come back in one of your own family members. It's called regeneration. The Bible speaks about regeneration.
Right.
They knew you weren't going to, you weren't going to die. They would say travel well because they knew you were going to die, and in your travel, you were going to come back. So that means that your spirit has made a contract with the Lord, and he knows it. And this contract lasts for every generation.
Right.
Till your spirit completely dissipates and is no longer no more, you will always have a contract with the Most High.
Right.
You will always have to pay, right, whatever debt you own to the Lord himself. There ain't no getting, you got an eternal contract with the Most High, because you are part of a people that have made a deal or made a contract with the creator of this earth. And there ain't no turning away from that. The Native American Indians knew it. The indigenous Mexican people knew it. The Arawak, the Taino, we all knew that this is what we owe. That's why today you see a lot of Hispanics who believe so much in God. Like your grandma, your aunt, your uncles, your great-grandma, your mom. They believe in God so much that they actually replace their real God with just any God, because they know that there is a God who protects me. You're right about that. There is a God that I pray to. You're absolutely right about that. You know, your mom is right. There is a God. She's absolutely right. And you know, she prays to this God. She's right in that point too. She tells you, encomendate a Dios, which means, you know, put yourself in God's hands. That's the word that Mexican moms give their children. And they say that because they know that we belong to a God. The problem is that we've been miseducated through oppression, that now we've forgotten who the real God is.
Right.
We've actually replaced our real God with a God of our oppression.
Right.
And the reason that happened is because of miseducation. What does it say? Because of lack of knowledge.
Right.
Because we choose not to hear this. We choose not to understand. We choose to stay away from the Bible. I don't want to hear that. You know what? I believe in God, but you go a little bit too far. You know, any excuse. You know, oh, you know what? I'm not a religious person. You know what? Maybe you should be a religious person, because your soul is counting on it to come back and become a so-called religion. We know it's not religion, but we know it's our culture. It's not our religion. We don't have a religion. The religion is what the Caucasian has. The Greeks, the Romans, right? The Africans, they have a religion. We don't have a religion. We have a culture. You know why we have a culture? Because a people have a culture.
Right.
People have cultures, and we're a certain type of people. You got a precept? Go ahead.
Sure. I'll bring out the most controversial precept, John 3:16.
John 3:16, because we are a people. Man, even your Christian and Catholic church, they've been saying this all the time. Nosotros somos el pueblo de Dios.
Right.
You got all these fake pastors, these fake preachers that are always talking about nosotros. Aquí está el pueblo de Dios. That's not God's pueblo. That's not God's. God's pueblo is a descendant of a man named Israel. We are Hebrews. We come from a descendant of Jacob, who had his children, and we all descend from this people. How do you know that? That's what it say. The Spirit will tell you. Isn't that what it says?
Which one, sir?
The one that says you can tell by their spirit.
Come.
Right? You can.
You want that?
If you're gonna go to the other one, if not, you can go with that.
I got John 3:16 right.
Okay, let's do it.
Come, sir. And I also got the definition for world.
Okay, come, go ahead.
Come, sir. The book of John, chapter 3, verse 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And the definition for world in the Merriam-Webster dictionary is human society. So if I may, so you're talking about, we have our own culture where the Bible, like I don't want to say, the Bible is our culture. When Christ said, "For God so loved the world isn't talking about everybody, like the Christian church lies to us about the scriptures, like the world has lied to us about the scriptures. The world is talking about a human society. What is that society? The Jews, the Israelites, us.
That's our society. Our society is a group of people, of individuals who are in common with certain things. Like, for instance, now we see everybody trying to be part of our world. Everybody's trying to infiltrate into our culture. Now you see the Asians trying to be cholos. Now you see the Asians trying to be rancheros. Now you see all these other cultures, the Armenians trying to be cholos. You know what I'm saying? You see these people trying to infiltrate, trying to be like us. Now you see the Caucasians being rappers. Now you see all these white boys trying, acting and jiving just like black brothers do. You know what I'm saying? You see Caucasians calling themselves Native American Indians. Oh, we're Native American Indians. And you goddamn well know you ain't Native American Indian. You know you that $5 Indian. Now you're seeing all these other cultures trying to infiltrate, trying to be your culture. Right. They try to be the greatest cultures there is. We are the greatest cultures, or else they wouldn't be chasing us. Our culture vultures. Right. Why would they, if we're such a bad people, why would they try to be like us? Why would they even be chasing our culture? They have their own culture, right, but they don't have enough with their culture. Right. They know how great our culture is. They know what a great people we are. How much flavor and what is it? How much man, I don't even know what word to use because of everything we have, that they want to be just like us. Right. But here, in this part, they cannot be like us. Right. Because here, for you to be a Hebrew Israelite, for you to be of God's chosen people, you have to be of this bloodline. Yeah, right. And we cannot allow anybody to come in and infiltrate into a bloodline that is not of theirs. And you know how you know when I said the spirit? Did you get that? The spirit knows. The spirit knows. I'm gonna show you this. How when we say the spirit, you can tell by their spirit. Salakia, I'm trying to, I'm going through this, but you can tell by the spirit is because when we speak like this to certain people, they become offended. When you start to relate this truth to certain people, they become offended. For instance, if somebody in my family, I would say, if my mom or my dad or my grandfather or somebody, if I knew that they were Spaniard and they were to tell me these things, I would become offended. I would be like, wait a minute, my grandfather was Spaniard, and I'm offended that you say these things about my people, because shoot, you're talking about my grandfather. Hey, I know my grandfather a lot. The Lord have him, Lord be with him. He took him, but I remember as a young man, my grandfather, I used to go and visit him all the time. I was like one of the few in the family that was real close to my grandfather. He used to tell me plenty of stories, and they didn't make sense back then, but now they make more sense than ever. He lived a poor life. You got it?
I believe this is the one you want, sir.
Go ahead.
1 John 4:1. Let me know if
Can you hear it?
Counselor, beloved, 1 John 4:1. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God.
Try the spirit whether they're of God. There's another one that says you will know them by their spirit.
James.
But even that one, you try the spirit. When I speak like this, I'm really trying your spirit. When I speak like this, you're going to get offended. You're going to get offended because of what I'm saying. I ran into this gentleman who is he's a Chicano, supposedly, with all his Chicano this and Chicano that. And I was talking to him about these things, and I began to tell him about the truth. Well, the inconvenient truth. I told him about the inconvenient truth, and he became offended. He became offended, and he backlashed at me and said I was racist. And he said that I didn't know the Bible because the Bible was for everybody. That was his comeback. And he said that what I was being taught were lies, and what I was teaching was a lie. And as we went on the conversation, he ended up telling me that his dad was Spanish, that his dad was from Spain. Well, no wonder he became offended. I thought he was Chicano. I thought he was Mexican. I'm over here telling him these things, telling him what a great people we are, telling him this and that, and all of a sudden, when I'm speaking these things, he becomes offended, and in the end, he tells me, hey, you know what? Well, my dad was from Spain. Oh, no wonder you got offended, bro. No wonder it doesn't hurt me when people tell me that. When I hear these words, in my mind is like, hell yeah, you right, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, screw the Spaniard, man. You absolutely right. And I go in on the Spaniard because of what he did to my people. And I become inflamed, and I become angry, and I dig into history to see what I can bring out that offends the Spaniard for what he did to my people. You know what I'm saying? So I become engulfed in looking for what can I say that'll make this Spaniard angry, because I was angry at one time because my spirit was once tortured. My spirit was once, bled to death. My spirit once was put in chains. My spirit once suffered. My spirit once died and saw my people die. And my spirit saw my land taken from me and my people destroyed, and saw all of it gone to waste. And now my spirit is back, and it's back with a vengeance. Now I'm angry. Now I speak. Because why? Because I remember what happened to my people. And just the same way, this man, when I told him about the Spaniard, I thought he was Chicano Cholo shit. I didn't know. But it turned out that he wasn't. Turned out that he was infiltrated. He was putting on the Chicano suit, the Chicano hat, right? The Chicano Pendleton, the Chicano shoes. He had his creased pants, and I'm looking at him like, okay, this is a brother I could pull in. Then it turns out that I was offending this brother. Oh, well, not my brother. I was offending this man, like I said. I was offending him because he was not my people. Because his spirit wasn't torn like that. His spirit didn't have to see that. His spirit had felt nothing about that. His spirit felt, well, it doesn't matter. We're all now he wants to be this. Now his spirit wants to say that we're all the same. His spirit wants me to forgive. His spirit wants my spirit to forget what it did to me and wants me to now be his friend and to forget what went on in the past. But you know what? I refuse to forget what happened because my spirit doesn't allow me to forget the tragedies and the atrocities that were committed on my people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't let go. I do these shows, I speak like this because then I sit there and my spirit takes me back in speech, right? In mind, in myself. It takes me back to a time where I know what happened, where I remember what happened. And sometimes when you hear the Native American brothers and sisters speaking like you heard in the video, they too begin to speak and they feel the same way. They feel like, man, I'm reliving this moment. Every time I try to tell about the tragedy that happened to my people, I'm actually reliving, my spirit is reliving the moment that these people came and did that to us. I'm reliving that. It's taking me back. My spirit cannot shake that nightmare, ever. That nightmare is with me always. I will die and I'll come back and I will still remember those nightmares. Even though my life is taken, when I regenerate and come back again at a certain age, I will come back and I'll remember that again. And I'll once again speak all over again. And you may kill me, but you will not destroy the spirit that the Lord has given me and that remembers all that you've done to me. You got it?
Counselor,
go ahead.
You want the other one?
Let me hear it.
Counselor, this is the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 26. If any man among you seems to be religious and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain.
No, that's not the one. That's not the one. So when you understand these things, when you begin to come into the truth and we remind you of what happened, what happens is that, you know, we're sleeping in this dream. We're sleeping in this dream where everything is happening around us and we don't realize that we are asleep. It's called the American dream. It's called the American education system. It's called dreaming in this land that is nothing but things that are that can be bought and sold. You know what I'm saying? Things that have no real value, and they're like that, and they entertain you so that you might not remember. You're so busy in all this entertainment, in all this that's happening around you, in sports and music and movies and everything else, in these false lies and everything, that it doesn't give you time to stop for a moment and see what it is, who you really are. And this dream is taking not only you, but our children, not only us, but our generations. And it's taking us and it's helping us to forget and to put dirt over the wounds that were given to us.
Right.
And we forget, and we don't take into consideration the tragedies that happened to our people.
Right.
And when we begin to broadcast and speak, right? What does it say? Speak to the wind. And we begin to speak to the wind. Then the wind helps us to take this message and it gives it to the ears that need to hear. Those that remember, those that need to come back, those that once fought for their people. Today, we don't fight for our people. Today, we follow the golden rule of America. Even the military tells you, be all that you can be, because it's a selfish nation, a nation that cares only for oneself. Make sure that you do the best you can. And now, when you walk by and you see your children in poverty, your children starving, your children in cages, your young men drugged out on the streets of America, your own people living in tents under bridges, your own people being evicted from their homes, struggling to survive, you have no feeling for them. Why? Because that feeling has, you've been desensitized from loving your own people.
Right.
And you choose to love your enemy and his God so that you might be able to replenish something that you feel.
Right.
And with that, you lose the love for your own people.
Right.
And choose to love your enemy. Go ahead.
So this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37 and verse 9. Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith the Lord God, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live.
And that's what we need to do. Our breath is giving life to our people again. And that's because the Lord has given us this weapon. The Lord doesn't give us weapons of mass destruction. Those weapons of mass destruction are not for us. Our greatest weapon is our voice, is our spirit. Because when we speak, our people recognize who we are. They remember the voice and the words that they hear, and they know that this truth is for them. Go ahead, read that.
So this is the book of Baruch 4 and 1. This is the book of the commandments of God, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. And
that's why we die today, because we left those commandments. We left those laws of God. We decided to turn away from the Most High. And with that, we've decided to destroy our own people. We don't help our people no more. We used to be a race of people that fought together, lived together. I'm going to show you something. Think about this. And this for all my Hispanic brothers and sisters who love the revolution, who call themselves revolutionists. Every Mexican, every raza, every goddamn cholo, we all have that one picture of Emiliano Zapata, right? We're big fans of Emiliano Zapata. For our brothers out there, sisters out there, if you want to really get connected with a Mexican, it's Emiliano Zapata. Oh, damn, Emiliano Zapata, what a great revolutionist. He fought for his people, right? Emiliano Zapata was not by himself. Emiliano Zapata had thousands of followers, thousands of men, thousands of women, and even kids who followed and died and fought for him. When he was murdered, right, at the hacienda, betrayed by one of his own men said, man, we're going to ride with you just in case. And he was like, no, it's going to be okay. I know him, and he's one of us. And the treaty we're about to sign is going to help us. And his men were like, no, you know what? We'll go and we'll die with you just in case. But his words were one of, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. But his men were ready to die, and they died. They followed him. They followed Emiliano Zapata, knowing that battlefield where they were going to go fight, they were going to die. They knew they weren't going to come back. Emiliano Zapata didn't have top-notch rifles, or he didn't have cannons. He didn't have trains like Pancho Villa did. He didn't. If you look at Emiliano Zapata's story, you'll find out that most of his people were carrying rakes and sticks and shovels. But a lot of them had guns. But if you really look at his story, you'll see that they were peasants who decided to follow him. And they were going to go out and fight with picks and forks and knives, machetes. They were going out to fight just like that, because they were willing to give up their life for the freedom of their people. Emiliano Zapata was the only one who spoke the Nahuatl language. He spoke Nahuatl. He spoke Nahuatl to his people because he was a true believer in his people, right? So Emiliano Zapata was a great revolutionist, probably the best revolutionist. Today, there's no Zapata, there is no Villistas, there is no Oroquistas, Magonistas, they're gone. But Villistas, Zapatistas, there's always Zapatistas. Zapatistas, that name has lived on forever as a name of true revolutionists. Now, I'm not going to say that, today they're the best, no, but, they're still around. But, so if Emiliano Zapata was a great revolutionist, and his spirit is still among somebody, right? Well, how about all his followers? How about those thousands of men who would have died for him, whose spirit was strong, whose spirit was the one of, man, I'll die with you. I'm ready to go and take this machete, and I'm going to get shot, but I'm going to go out as a warrior, as a soldier, as a valiente, a valiant man, ready to die over land, over my people, over killing my oppressor. Thousands of Mexicans, people from Yucatan, Mexico, Jalisco, all these areas who joined with him to go and fight that way. Those spirits are still amongst us today. Those men that died, were willing to die like that, live today amongst us somewhere. Amongst everybody here, raza everywhere, we're still here. We still have that spirit. We're still warriors. We're still these people. The problem is that they've known that suppressing who you are helps them to gain ground.
Right.
By oppressing your memories, by oppressing your strength, by oppressing the valiant person that you are, they win the war.
Right.
They're on top and you're at the bottom because you forget what kind of person you really were.
Right.
You've forgotten to nourish your spirit with the valor that you once had.
Right.
And we'll go even further back. The Aztecs would die in the same way. The Aztecs would go out and they were like, man, I'm gonna die. We're valiant men. We're hombres valientes. We're ready to die for our king. And millions died the same way.
Right.
Millions went out in the same way as he did. You know what I'm saying? They went out as valiant men, but their spirits returned. Those are the same spirits that woke up when Zapata called them and said, let's go and do it again. And those that I'm talking about that were in the time of the Aztecs, of the Mexica, of the time of those warriors, they were also the ones in the time of Issachar and Tola and the valiant men that he had, that when Judah was ready to go to war, they would go and die with him.
Right.
They were amongst King David. What was it? Give me that precept.
Which one exactly did you serve from me? The one where
you just put Tola, KJV. Malakma, you absolutely right. They dishonor Zapata when they put El Subcomandante Marcos el Zapatista from Yucatan, right? From Chiapas as their leader. He was a Spaniard, absolutely. He's the descendant of a Spaniard. That's why he never really came out, wouldn't show his face, always in the trenches, because he was not that valiant man. Do you have it? And give me verse 2, I believe it is. So we know that the Zapatistas were revolutionists, thousands, man, thousands of them, just like us, who were ready to die. And before them, the Aztec warriors, thousands of them, who were also ready to die. But let's go even further back to those thousands. Where were they at before they were Aztecs, before they were Zapatistas? Go ahead and read that.
So this is the book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 7 and verse 2. And the sons of Tola, Uzi and Rephaiah and Uriah and Jamai and Jesham and Shamuel, heads of their father's house, to wit, of Tola, they were valiant men of might in their generation, whose number was in the days of David 220,600.
Man, 220,600. Man, uncountable numbers of the days of David. You know why it says in the days of David? Because wasn't King David a warrior? Was he not a man of war? Was not King David the one who, fought Goliath? Fought what do they call the Philistines? Was he not the one who fought the Philistines? They were at war with the Philistines, and Tola and his children, the sons of Issachar, were right there amongst him. They fought to the death with David, because we're those valiant men. And today, we still those valiant men.
Right.
In Vietnam, the Hispanics and Black got more Medal of Honor than any other Asian or white or any other body, any other nation. We got all the Medal of Honors. In World War II, was it not the Blacks and Hispanics who fought also there? Man, we go and fight all their wars, and we come back valiant men with Medal of Honors, and yet we are unrecognized. Let me tell you something. The Native American Indian is a valiant man.
Right.
They had to live, those kids had to live through the boarding schools, the atrocities, the molestation, the beatings, the killings in the boarding schools, in the what is that, what do they call the residential schools, Salakia, the residential schools.
Right.
And they were valiant men and kids who were able to do that. Let me tell you something. If those children were able to live through all those atrocities in the residential schools, then white children should be able to sit in class and listen to all the atrocities that these Native American Indian children went through in those schools. Right? They should be able to sit there and they should be able to teach them about all that their ancestors did to them. Our children were able to go through that. They survived it. They will survive it too. Getting educated with the destruction that their ancestors committed on our people. The same way, if white man was able to take our land and hang our people, then today they should be able to sit in class and listen to the atrocity that they committed on Chicanos here in California when they hung us on the tree. They should be able to sit in class and listen to all the atrocities that Black people went through during the transatlantic slave trade. They should be broadcasting it daily. Every day there should be news articles, movies, education, books, daily, continually reminding them of what happened to our Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian brothers. Because if we were able to go through it, they should be able to go through it too. They should be able to withstand all that they did and be educated in that.
Right.
Because we're misled, because we're miseducated, because they taught us to forget about what happened to us, we too are forgetting what happened to us. And we too have no compassion for our own. We too seem to forget what we went through and what our children went through and what our people went through. And that's why we're in the condition that we're in. When I started this class and we said God abandoned us, but we're the ones who abandoned God.
Right.
And the curses that came upon us are because we chose to turn our back on God. And because we turned our back on God, we turned our back on our own people. We have turned our back. We have turned our valor, our service, our love. We have turned it away from our own people. And we've given it to our enemy. We've given it to a country, to a people, to a nation that has robbed, raped, murdered, and hated us throughout every single decade, throughout every single generation.
Right.
Go ahead, Ashwin. Sorry.
I'm too wild, so I ain't going to bring it up.
Oh, okay. God, I thought you were going to say something. So you know what I'm saying? So as us, this is the wake-up call.
Right.
This is where we at. This is what's going to bring us together. The ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, this is the place that the Lord has chosen to once again wake up his people so that we might bring together his nation, right? And wake up a sleeping giant, a nation that has been scattered. Didn't Christ say, I've come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel?
Right.
Well, he taught us how to come get them. He's made it clear how it is that we're going to call our people together. And that's through education. That's through history. That's through calling out our people. This is the way that it's got to be done. And all of us have to participate in it. We all got to be part of this. This cannot slip away from our hands in this generation. Actually, this could be the last generation. This could be the last opportunity that we have to wake up our people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because after this, there won't be another chance. But what do you think, Oscar Ward?
Sir. I mean, you know, you really don't know when Christ's going to come back, according to the scriptures. You know, so it's time to wake up now. The scripture says, well, what did Paul say? He said, now is the time to awake. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but you know, as we see the signs in the Bible being played out in our lives today, that's a sign to what? To awake out of sleep. You understand? The sleep that we're in America, you know, in this indoctrination of Christianity, Catholicism, of the oppressor. We got to wake up out of that sleep. You understand?
Absolutely. And this sleep is taking place because America has taught us to sleep.
Right.
America has taught us to ignore our people.
Right.
And that's a type of sleep, believe it or not.
Right.
That's like they're teaching us how to not care.
Right.
Teaching us how to stay away from helping our own people.
Right.
And with that, when we do that, we actually are becoming destructive in a sense. Go ahead, Oscar.
If I may, sir, like, and something to help the viewers understand that there's a trend on TikTok where Black women have a TikTok where they have a voiceover and they're with their white husband or white boyfriend, and it says, "I'm with Massa." And a lot of Black women, a lot of Black sisters are doing that. You know, they take a video with their man who is white, and it says, "I'm with Massa." You understand? And that just shows the lack of integrity, the carelessness that we have stooped to when it comes to our history. And that all comes from America. You understand? That's all being pushed by America, and it just shows, man, that our people are destroyed. How many our Black brothers, the terrible things that they went through along with us from the hands of the Caucasians through slavery, lynching, torture. You understand? Just things that are absolutely abominable, things that are just horrible. And for our sisters, the Black sisters, to come out and make a TikTok like that, it just shows the amount of lack of consideration that they have towards what history, what happened in history. And that's from what? From us being asleep. You understand?
Miseducated, decolonize your mind is really where you got to go.
Right.
Because we've been miseducated. And this miseducation is really, Sister Veronica Hernandez says disrespectful. Yeah, you kind of like disrespecting yourself when you do things like this. You know what I mean? Like, man, to be with a white man is bad already. But then to call him master, man, that's just, that's putting, what do they call it? Icing on the cake.
Right. It's like hitting the nail with the hammer. It's like, these people are destroyed. You understand? And then the white people are like this. They're going like this. In the video, like they're hanging them.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I just want to give an example. Like they're doing but they're doing that to like the white boyfriend is going
as
like
if
this.
they had a noose.
As if they're hanging them, and the white sisters are laughing, and then the white guy laughs as if it's funny.
And you know what? That's in a form, that's a subliminal type of education. You know what I mean? That's subliminal because what it's doing is it's subliminally telling other women that it's okay to do that. Right. You know what I mean? They're making a joke of it. But that joke is a serious joke. It's a serious joke. How do you know that? Because how many videos are like that? Is it 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5?
Right.
No, it's a lot of them. Right. Like the brother says, it's tons of them. So it's a trend. You know what I'm saying? And when you make a trend, it's something that everybody's going to be doing, and everybody's going to find it as a joke, as funny. But there is nothing funny about that. You know what I'm saying? And us as Hispanics, man, we should see nothing funny in anything like that. You know what? The party's over. The joke is over. That funny shit is over. It's not funny anymore. It's time to get serious about your people. You know what I mean? About your heritage, about your culture. It's time to get serious. It's time to stop seeing these, like I said, infiltrators coming in and trying to be, us, trying to be who we are. You got a goddamn Spaniard acting like a cholo because he's gonna make money, because he's gonna start what is that? Like a TikTok or a Facebook, and with that he's gonna, what is that? He's gonna market his image, and with that he's gonna be able to make money, get followers, and now he's got 10,000, 30,000, 40,000 followers. Why? Because he's dressing up as one of us. You know what I mean? When I know that Ayar and Malakma, we always talk about this, that we look at the movies, right, like Training Day and things like that, and we understand that those that are playing the roles of Hispanics are not Hispanics. They're not Mexicans. They got what is that? That guy, he's Indian or Hindu?
In the movie
Training Day. He's Hindu. They got Italians playing us. They got Armenians playing us. I seen that. What is that? Al Capone or Capone? Salacha. I call him Al Capone. Capone is promoting a concert he's about to have in Arizona. He's like, oh man, I'm gonna have my first concert in a long time. He's all choloed out in front of a lowrider. And who is he promoting to? He's promoting to our people. He's making money off of he's gonna charge to get into his place. And who's gonna go see him? We're gonna go see him. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go and see this guy, and we're gonna give him our money. You know what I mean? It's them dressing up like us and us going to pay to see them. You know what I mean? Oh, we just say, when we used to sell drugs, when we used to sell marijuana, when we were slinging our 20 sacks and dime sacks and nickel sacks, we were going to jail. We were doing heavy time. We were being arrested. We were being humiliated. Our houses were being raided. Our cars were being taken from us. You know what I'm saying? We were getting 3 strikes. We were getting a record that next time when you got out, you were trying to go get a job. Oh no, he used to sell weed, or he was caught selling weed. He was caught, selling, under the influence. They would catch us, and that would ruin you weren't going to get a job, because every time they saw it was like, you know what, you have a record. You know what I mean? But now that the Armenian, that the Asian, that the white man is selling this at this dispensaries, now it's okay. Now all of a sudden they're trying to make it legal across America. They're passing a bill, a federal law, where marijuana is legal. Well, how about us? We were destroyed for how many years, man? 40 years we were destroyed. Pinpointed as drug dealers over a 20 sack of weed. A drug addict over a dime bag. The cop would get you, humiliate you, take your little bag, drop it on the floor and step on it, take you to jail. And today, we're going to the goddamn dispensaries and making these same people rich. You know what I'm saying? They're the ones banking on black and Hispanics. Black and Hispanics are going to the goddamn dispensaries now, and we're making these people rich. I've said it before. You go to the dispensary, you got these Armenian guys, and in front of the dispensaries, they got the newest BMW. They got the newest Mercedes-Benz. Their families are going to get tires. I know, getting tires. They don't speak a goddamn drop of English. You know what I'm saying? And they're driving in a brand new Mercedes-Benz, brand new BMW, brand new Lexus. You know what I'm saying? And they got all the money. They're moving into the best neighborhood, making their money off of selling marijuana to you, Hispanic man, to you, black man, to you, Native American Indian man. You're the one going to jail. You're the one incarcerated for selling a dime bag, but yet you're the one putting all the money in their pocket. You're making their life great. You're making them rich. You're living in poverty. You're living in a goddamn one-bedroom apartment. You're the one fighting with your girl. You're the one who can't get a goddamn job. You're the one who's living miserably while you're giving the money to them. And you know what the sad part is? That you're living so bad. You can't get a goddamn job because you're always high. You know, you can't go anywhere because you're gonna get pulled over because you smell like goddamn weed. But yet you continually keep going over and over and over to the goddamn dispensary 2-3 times a day, getting high all goddamn day, and giving them all your riches, making them rich. You know what I'm saying? Making them get all that money. You know what I'm saying? Making them have the expensive cars. Letting them bring their families over. Their families are living in the best neighborhood. Their families have the best looking houses. You're living in a goddamn apartment.
Right.
You're living in the ghetto.
Right.
You're living in misery while you get your money that you could be living better and giving it to them. You know what I'm saying? Ain't that right, on schoolwork?
Time will come.
Now you lost everything, man. You've lost everything. The goddamn what was that what were those beers called? The malt liquor. All the malt liquor. I remember in the 80s, the malt liquor, man. All the malt liquor, you could only find it in the ghetto neighborhood, in Compton, in South Central. You know what I'm saying? All the little liquor stores where all the black and Hispanics live. That's where you would find Schlitz malt liquor, right? Old English 800. Right. You know what I'm saying? All these liquor stores. As soon as you walked in, they had the big sign, right? They had a big billboard, a big poster of a black man sipping on an Old English 800, sipping on a 40 ounce, and they had the big 40 ounce. And you know what? You made those liquor companies rich, getting drunk as hell. You know what I'm saying? They were getting rich as hell while you were getting drunk as hell. Your dad was coming home drunk as hell. You know what I mean? He got fired because he was always drunk. That's what happened to your family. Your family always drunk. Your dad, your uncle always goddamn drunk. Off that Schlitz malt liquor, off that Colt 45, the water malakma, off that Colt 45, off that Old English 800. Always drunk off that. Your pops, man, your pops and mom, 211. Hell yeah, you know what I mean? Always fighting each other, always at their throats, back and forth because your dad drank too much. But your dad, man, always had to go buy that Old English. That's the same thing with us today. All of the Hispanics, man, we out there getting high every single day, man. We smoke in the morning before we eat breakfast. We smoke before we watch a movie. We smoke before we go out. Thank you, Marie. St. Ives, St. Ives. Yep, that's another one. St. Ives, the Mad Dog. Oh, that's 2020. Okay, that's a little early. But you know, getting high every moment of the day. And now they're making it easy for you. Now you got your little, what are those called? Those vapors, the vapes. Now you vaping. Now you vaping all day. Right. Now you got your little electronic cigarette getting high with the oil. Right. You're still getting high. You're still addicted. Right. You're still gonna go make them rich because you making the Armenians, you making the Asians, you making the whites, you making them rich. Right. So let me tell you something. Go into 5 dispensaries, and 4 of them are owned by Armenians or whites, and maybe one of them is owned by a black or Hispanic, and he's not even owned by them. They just so happen to be the front man in that, but it's all owned by them. We don't own none of that. We black and Hispanics, we don't have any goddamn dispensaries. Well, right now, who's trying to jump into it? Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's trying to jump. He's, what do you call himself? The king of cannabis. That's what Mike Tyson is calling himself. The king of cannabis. Now Mike Tyson is trying to move into it. Mike Tyson is trying to move into a business that's going to destroy his people. Mike Tyson is moving into a business that at one time was criminalized if you were black or Hispanic or Native American Indian. And yet, we so far from it that we can't understand, man, there's got to be something better for our people. There's got to be something better to wake our people up. This is a time of revolution, man. This ain't no time to get high.
Right.
This is a time of war. It ain't no time to be getting high.
Right.
This is a time to wake up. This is a new age. This is a new era. This is a new day, a new dawn. It's time to wake up. It's time to bring our people together.
Right.
It's time to bring black, Hispanics, Native American Indians back on their feet, because we've been crawling all this time.
Right.
Because we've been crawling and begging to be equal. We've been crawling and begging to have equal rights. We've been begging and crawling to have, to be humane. You know what I'm saying? We've been looking for something to tell us, you know what, you're equal to this white man.
Right.
We've been searching for something to be equal with. But yet we've been getting high, so we've never been thinking about how to be real equal. And Vanessa, Talaki said they're getting kids on this vaping in Youngest Middle School. Absolutely. You know, you go to the junior high schools and you got kids vaping. And let me tell you something. Those kids will tell you, because this is the mentality. Oh, it's not a drug. Getting high is not a drug. But man, you vaping in the morning, you vaping in your first break, you vaping at lunch, you're vaping at your next break,
right.
You vaping all day long. You're getting out of school, you're gonna vape again.
Right.
That's called being addicted.
Right.
That's an addiction.
Right.
And it's being aimed at our kids. And I know they got the flavored ones. They got flavored vapes.
Right.
So now you out there vaping, making it look cool.
Right.
We've been crawling to be equal. And now we got a generation who refuses to even think about it. We got a generation who, you know what, is happy with just being high all the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Being asleep, sir.
Being asleep. Worse than sleep. You're high.
Right.
You're walking around like a zombie, high, not caring about anything.
Right.
That's the solution to your problem, to your daily problem. Getting high. You know why you get high? Because you don't want to do good. You don't want to go to school. So you got to go to school. So I just get high at school.
Right.
Because I'm high and I don't know what the hell's going on at school.
Right.
Because I'm high. You go to work, man, I got to be at work all day. I'll just get high and work while I'm high. You know what I'm saying? That's called being irresponsible in oneself.
Right.
You can't study. You're definitely not going to come into the ISUPK because you're high all the time. You're definitely not going to learn about God because you're high all the time. You're going to make excuses. Well, weed's natural. God made weed. Right. But God made the Bible too. And he made the 10 Commandments.
Right.
And he's got law statutes in there that you should be following.
Right.
So you only choose to say weed is natural, God made it. Well, how about everything else God has put in place?
Right.
What about that? What about considering the whole thing and not just what's convenient to you?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's something to think about. Because what's happening now is that we're being separated. Now we got our brother, man, we separated in ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like Raza, we should be communicating with each other. We should be more in touch with each other. We should really be in a circle where, let me tell you, brother, you believe you're an Israelite? You believe in the Most High? You believe in God? You believe in Yahweh Shai and Yahweh? Then we should be communicating. We should be in touch. We should be learning from each other.
Right. We
should be getting on the same page. We should not be thinking about, oh, well, no, this and that, well, you're not this, you're not that. No, we should be thinking about, man, maybe we should meet eye to eye, especially us Raza. Right. Because one thing you got to remember, we're all coming from the same lineage. We all warriors, we all revolutionists, we all that spirit. So why are we separating ourselves now? Why are we deciding to go our separate ways?
Right.
Why are you doing your thing and I got to do my thing? Where is that line where we come together and we see ends meet?
Right.
And we raise our people.
Right.
We got to raise our people like our brothers have raised their people.
Right.
Our brothers have managed to raise Judah, raise Benjamin, raise Levi. But what about you, Issachar? What about you, Zebulun? What about you, Asher and Ephraim?
Right.
Right? And Manasseh? What about you? When are you going to rise up?
Right.
When are you going to hear the call?
Right.
What does it say? Judah will wake up and then the northern tribe will follow? Well, isn't that us? Ain't we not the northern tribes? So where are we at?
Right.
When will we wake up? When will we do this work? When will we begin to really understand who we are and what we are about? And the power that we have in ourselves of speech, of fire, of education, of realizing who we are. Here is the truth, man. Here's where it really comes to. You can't be separate. You can't do your own thing. We a nation. We a people. We're God's chosen people.
Right.
Somos el pueblo del Todopoderoso. Somos el pueblo de Israel. Somos la gente que Dios ha elegido sobre toda la gente que está en la faz de la tierra.
Right.
We are the people that have been chosen over all the people that are on the face of the earth. We are a special people. So let's be special.
Right.
And let's treat each other as we special. And let's join like a special people. Because that's what we're meant to do.
Right.
That's what we're meant to be.
Right.
That's what we're meant to, that's why we were placed here. To raise ourselves up. And let me tell you, and more, us that are here today, in this time, in this appointed time, because in this appointed time, you're here and I'm here, and we know this because we have been chosen in this part of history,
right,
to wake up and
right,
to call our people. No one else. Your brother is dead. Your grandpa is dead. Your uncle passed away. Your pops is not in the truth. Your brother is not in this truth. But you are. But we are. But we've been called. But we've shown that we're the ones that have been appointed this fire for us to speak.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? This is our this is what we've been chosen to do. This is our calling. This is our time. This is our special time. This is the time to wake up, and we're just waking up. Right now, it's about voicing out, right? Calling out, speaking for those who don't have a voice, talking for those who couldn't talk, speaking up for those that died without a voice. Now it's our turn. Now we are to get up. Now we got to call our people. And you know, we do this every week. You know what I'm saying? We come out here and we call our people to join us. You know what I mean? And come together so that we can all start learning this, so that our children can benefit from us. You know what I mean? The ISUPK, this Inconvenient Truth, man, we do this every week. We do this every Wednesday. And we do this to help our people, you know, come into this truth. How can you help? I'll tell you how you can help. You can help by sharing this message. You can help by sharing this program. You can help by telling people, hey, man, you know what? There is somebody out there who is speaking like this, and get them on so that they can also make their opinion. You never know who's chosen until they hear the words. Like, it could be anybody, but you'll never know because they're sleeping. It's up to you to wake them up. How do you wake them up? You share this message. Right. You bring them into this program. Right. You let them hear. And if they're part of this program, if they're part of God's chosen people that are in this appointed time, then they too will begin to do the same as we're doing. Right. And they too will pick up this sword and move forward with it. And that's what we're here for. You know what I'm saying? We got a show coming up next week with General Mayak. What is he? General Mayak of the ISUPK. I believe he's a 12 Shield General of the ISUPK out of New York City. He'll be on our show next week. We're going to do a class. We're going to learn about oppression. We're going to learn of how we were separated. We're going to learn about the name of the show for next week is how because we were separated, our enemy knew how to take advantage of us during our time of separation. And that's the time we're in now. We so separated that our enemy is learning, hey, right now that they're weak, right now is when we'll take advantage. So we have to understand that we can never be weak. We got to strengthen up.
Right.
So that this that happened to us before can never happen again. I don't know if y'all familiar with the War of the Flowers, right? The War of the Flowers was a time in the Aztec Empire when, because we were at war with each other, the Spaniards took advantage of it and knew that they could bring in other tribes to help them because of the war they were having with each other. And they saw the opportunity to come in and separate us. And that's not the only time. They infiltrated us during the time of the Black Panthers and the Brown Berets because they knew we were separated. They knew we didn't work together. And so our separation caused them to understand, well, right now is the time when we can infiltrate and not allow them to come together. And once again, they came in and destroyed us. You see what I'm saying? And like that, there's been many days and many times and many occasions when they've done the same thing over and over. When they've seen that our weakness is when we're separated. That's why there's no more time for separation. Now we got to come together and put that weakness aside and begin to re-educate ourselves and decolonize our minds from the destruction that not only have we put on ourselves by turning away from God, but that the white man has brought against us because he's realized it's time to come back to God.
Right.
God never abandoned us. We abandoned the Most High.
Right.
And it's time for us to come back. And he is our strength. Isn't there a precept that says he is our strength? Give me that precept before we go. I'm going to show you how we're weak because we don't have God. Because we don't have our Father with us. Because we don't. Hey, Kashawan, I got one of those in there. In there. Because we're separated from him, our weakness has come upon us. Let me see if we can find it.
I got it right here, sir.
Come on.
The book of Psalms, chapter 46 and verse 1. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Verse 2, therefore will not we fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea. Verse 3, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though mountains shake with the swelling thereof. Salah.
You see that? The Lord is our strength. God is our strength. He is the one that watches over us. You know what I'm saying? That's where our strength is. Why are we weak? Why are our children high all the time? Because we don't have God.
Right.
Why are our daughters getting pregnant with multiple men? Because we don't have God. Why are we losing the battles that we have? Why is our country at war with itself?
Right.
Because we don't have God.
Right.
Why are our children, our children have forgotten their heritage. Our children have forgotten their language. Our children have forgotten their culture.
Right.
They've forgotten who they are. And they're trying to be a nation that has hated their people.
Right.
Your children are trying to be American.
Right.
And to be American is to be the enemy. How can a Mexican be American? How can a Native Indian be American?
Right.
How can a black be American? Wherein does it make sense? Black American, Native American Indian, Mexican American.
Right.
It can never make sense because you're talking about a nation that has hated you, that has destroyed your people, that has come with many different ways, many different methods of destroying your people. They have conjured up ways of always being able to implement laws, implement ways, implement different strategies just to destroy your people. You got something? Go ahead.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 2, and verse 33. Why trimmest thou thy ways? So like it, why trimmest thou thy ways to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways.
See, we have taught them our ways. with all this that we do when we separate from them, we've also taught our enemy how we are. We've taught them how to be cholos. We've taught them how to be basketball players. We taught them how to be all these things. We taught them music. We taught them how to take a goddamn bath. We taught them how to build things. We taught them all these things, and they have used these things against us. We've become slaves to them. They saw the way our beautiful city of Tenochtitlan was, and they copied that. And we had to build that city for them. They made us their slaves so that they could live the way we used to live, and we live in poverty.
Right.
They sent us to fight their wars to come back and live in the ghettos.
Right.
We fought their wars to come back and live in the housing projects.
Right.
We went and fought in their wars to come back and live in the reservation.
Right. Right.
While they came back to live behind their white picket fence, their green yards,
right.
their schools, their colleges, their nice little neighborhoods, their little liquor stores, while yours was an Asian-owned liquor store.
Right.
And the Asian hated you, black man, for coming into his store. You know what I'm saying? And yet we continually want to live like they are. We continually want to be American.
Right.
And there ain't no way you can ever be American.
Right.
Never.
Right.
You can never be seen as an American. There ain't no American in you, ever. And you marry a white girl, you still ain't American.
Right.
Your children are born, right? A black man marries a white woman, and his children come out looking black, you still ain't American.
Right.
You still black.
Damn right.
They know you black, no matter what. Your daughter might have married a white man, but you still Mexican.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You still the same. You never change.
Right.
And that's why we got to understand it's time to separate from this place. It's time to separate. What does it say? Come out of her, my people. You know what I'm saying? That's that word. Come out of her, my people. You know, he's calling us to come out of this place. That this place is no longer for us. This place, once you begin to educate yourself on the reality of what the American dream is to us, you realize that this place is not for you, nor for your children, nor for your people. This is a place of hate. And I'm going to tell you something, we don't hate. Like, man, I don't hate these people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't show hate to them. I don't show despise to them. I don't show envy towards them. I just stay away from them completely.
Right.
That's what I do. I don't like, you know, I don't have to show you that I hate you. I just don't talk to you. I just stay away from you. You know what I'm saying? You got that one? Go ahead.
The book of Revelation, chapter 18 and verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
And that's what the Lord is telling us, man. Get out of her, my people.
Right.
That you don't receive of these plagues.
Right.
Let me tell you something, man. I came out of America.
Right.
I no longer participate in America's nonsense. You know what I mean? I don't go to the sports. I don't do the sports thing. You know what I'm saying? When I go out, when me and my rib go out, we go to Mexican places. If it's gonna be a Mexican shindig, I'm gonna be there. You know, if it's gonna be a Mexican thing, I'm there. You know, I don't go to no other place that's not my people.
Right.
And with that, the Lord has kept me from these plagues that the Lord has thrown on this place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's secured me and my family because I've chosen not to partake in this place. Go ahead,
I just wanted to say, like, the play here, when it says that ye be not partakers of her sins and that ye be not partakers of her plagues, this is a prophecy written 2,000 years ago. And this plague is referring to the plagues happening now in our time, which is COVID-19 is one of those plagues. You understand? That plague was for who? For Babylon, for America. Here it says the Lord is telling us to come out of her, meaning come out of America so that you won't have to suffer the plagues that I'm going to bring on America. And a lot of Black, Hispanic, and American Indians died from COVID-19. Why? Because we are still in America. You understand? Meaning what? We're still one with America. We celebrate Thanksgiving. We celebrate Halloween, Christmas, all these holidays, we celebrate them, and that makes us a part of America.
Right.
But God is telling us, come out of her. Meaning what? Not literal, meaning stop being one with America. You understand why? Because I'm about to destroy America, and that's what's happening. I'm about to destroy this place for you. I'm about to destroy you. And if you still want to hold hands with this place that I hate, that I'm going to destroy for your sake, then you're going to destroy with it. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely. And you know, the Lord pluralizes plagues.
Right.
So it's not one plague. You got to understand it. He's not saying this one plague.
Right.
He's using a plural so that you understand that there is more to come. We're seeing the beginning of the end. So we're right here, right now. Right. Go ahead, Dr.
So you even have AIDS, you have HIV, you have gonorrhea. All these are plagues. You understand? It's just that America isn't going to call them plagues.
Right.
You understand? When you look into it, they are plagues. And America pushes, especially right now, they're pushing the LGBTQ agenda on Black and Hispanic. You had Disney. That thing came out. I don't know what it was about Disney that came out, but they pushed that agenda heavy on our children. They're very aggressive with pushing that agenda into the minds of our children. You understand? And that's a plague. Why? Because if you become a homosexual, you're gonna have you have a high chance of getting AIDS.
Right.
Selective. I'm sorry for that term. I meant gay. When you live a gay lifestyle, you know you're very in the open to suicide, to depression. Why? Because you're depressed. You understand? People who live a gay lifestyle are depressed and sad and destroyed, and they want to kill themselves. You understand? Right. That's a plague. Yeah, that's a plague. So we gotta separate from America and stop being a part of it. Why? Because if not, we're gonna die with America. You understand? We're gonna be destroyed with our enemies. God will destroy us. He's done it before. If I may, you know, you have Moses when Korah wanted to come against Moses, and he said, well, he wanted to come against Moses, and God swallowed him up. Him, his children, his wife, he swallowed them up. He made the earth open up and swallowed him up, the other men and their families up, and everybody else who came against Moses. You understand? That's the same thing that's going to happen. You don't want to come into ISUPK and follow Commanding General Yana, who's under Christ. Listen, you're going to be a part of these plagues. You're going to be destroyed. You understand? That's it, sir.
John, absolutely. That's so true, man. You know, and these plagues are just beginning. Right. This is just the beginning, like I said, of the end. Right. So it's time to reconsider, you know, your position and where you at and how you're gonna see yourself within, you know, a couple, like maybe by the end of the year, you know what I mean? And see yourself coming in and doing this work. Most importantly, man, is doing this work. You know what I mean? Doing this work, coming in here and getting your name and changing your life so that you can change, you know, your loved one's life.
Right.
Your mother, your brother, your sister, your son, your daughters, whatever, you know, and start living righteously.
Right.
You know what I mean? Start living righteously. Start living the way we should be living.
Right.
You know, under law, statutes, and commandments.
Right.
Under obedience to the Most High.
Right.
And once again, coming back and knowing that God didn't abandon us, we've abandoned God.
Right.
And now it's time to come back to Him. Man, we already at that 2-hour point. The water for everybody who joined us and watched the show. As always, you know, we here every Wednesday about 8:30, right after Commanding General Yohana's show. So tune in with us, you know what I mean? We always here every Wednesday. Don't forget, we got a show coming up with General Mayat next week. We're going to have a great show. You know, we got a new show coming up on Sundays. You're going to want to catch us on that new show. We'll be promoting it real soon. But Sundays, we're going to have a great show coming on, live radio broadcast for all of us here, all of the brothers, the Raza here. We're going to get together. We're going to put together a show, you know what I mean? I want to thank everybody for joining me once again. This is the ISUPK, the Inconvenient Truth, coming out of California. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget, tomorrow we'll be having One West Radio right after our scripture breakdown, ISUPK Hollywood Israelite. You can catch us on ISUPK The Res, ISUPK Latino America. Don't forget to tune in to ISUPK ISUPK Puerto Rico, para toda mi gente latina, todos los que hablan español, ISUPK Puerto Rico, allí puedes escuchar y aprender el hebreo en tu idioma. ISUPK México, don't forget, ISUPK México, todos los martes estoy yo, su servidor, Kazak Yad, 5000, aquí de la Escuela Israelita de Conocimiento Práctico Universal, pero sintoniza todos los días a ISUPK México, ya que todos los días tenemos una nueva clase, cual nuestros hermanos están programados toda la semana. El único día que no tenemos va a ser el domingo, pero esa va a ser una clase especial. Así que sintoniza. Don't forget to like and share and push these classes for us, man, so that someone else might be able to also learn from this. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, you can always post them up on this thread that we're seeing today. If you want to comment something, if you want to say something, you can always comment on these pages, and we could answer it right here as we're speaking. So, if you have anything to say, if you got any comments, always encouraged to ask your question and post it up. You know what I mean? Any requests, any prayers, man, always put them up, man. That's what we're here for. Keep in touch with us, ISUPK Mexico, ISUPK Puerto Rico, Latinoamérica, the Red, ISUPK California. You know what I'm saying? Always tune in, like us, share us, comment, and you know what? Look out for us, man. We're here for you. I want to thank everybody, to all the brothers and sisters out there. Tawada Yahawah Shimi Awashai Barakatah. Tawada Ailatah Bahashimi Awashai to the sisters. Till next week, Shalom, Israel.
You think to go?